What if I told you that every dollar in your wallet is nothing more than a promise? That money, as we know it, is the greatest collective illusion humanity has ever created? Most people think money started with gold or salt, but those were just the containers. Money actually began the first time one human looked at another and made a promise. It is the physical manifestation of trust, a social contract that turns a stranger's "thank you" into a global currency. Today, we're going to unpack the most fundamental question about wealth that nobody talks about. What makes money actually worth something? Welcome back to Blueprint Stoicism, where we examine life's biggest questions through the lens of ancient wisdom. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into something that affects every single decision you make, yet most people never truly understand. We're going to explore money not as numbers on a screen or pieces of paper in your pocket, but as the ultimate social contract built entirely on trust. By the end of this video, you'll understand why every transaction you make is actually a bet on human nature itself. You'll see why the richest person in ancient Rome and a modern billionaire face the exact same fundamental challenge. And you'll discover why understanding this concept is the key to building real, lasting wealth in any era. But first, let me ask you something that might sound strange. When was the last time you thought about what money actually is? Not what it does, not how to get more of it, but what it fundamentally represents. Most people go their entire lives without questioning this, yet it's the foundation of every economic decision they make. Let me tell you a story. Imagine you're a farmer in ancient times with more grain than you could ever eat. You need shoes, so you walk to the shoemaker's shop. You offer him your grain in exchange for a pair of boots. But here's the problem: the shoemaker doesn't need grain. He needs a hammer from the blacksmith. This is where things get interesting. Your grain is still perfectly good grain. It hasn't lost its ability to feed people. But in this moment, with this person, it has lost its power to get you what you need. So here's the first question that reveals everything. Does your grain lose its value, or does it simply lose its utility in this specific exchange? Think about that for a moment. The grain itself hasn't changed, but its effectiveness as a tool for getting what you want has disappeared. This is the fundamental problem that led to the creation of money itself. Now, let's take this scenario one step further. What if I offered you a solution? What if I said you could trade your grain for something you don't need at all, something you can't eat or wear? Let's say a small piece of rare, shiny metal, but I guaranteed that the shoemaker would accept that metal for the shoes you want? Would you make that trade? Would you exchange something useful for something seemingly useless, based solely on the promise that someone else will accept it? If you said yes, congratulations. You've just discovered the birth of money. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Why would the shoemaker accept that piece of metal? He can't eat it, he can't use it to make shoes, it serves no practical purpose in his daily life. Yet he takes it willingly. Why? The answer lies in what philosophers call collective agreement. The metal isn't valuable because of what it is, but because of what everyone agrees it represents. It's a symbol of stored work, of value that can be transferred from person to person without losing its essence. This is where trust enters the equation in the most profound way. When the shoemaker accepts that metal, he's not really accepting the metal itself. He's accepting society's promise that someone else will honor that same agreement when he needs something. He's betting his livelihood on collective human behavior. Now let's fast forward through history and watch how this trust evolves. We moved from trading actual gold and silver to carrying around paper receipts that claimed to represent gold stored somewhere else. Then we moved to paper backed by nothing but government promises. Now we live in an age where most money exists only as digital entries in computer databases. At each step, we moved further away from physical reality and deeper into the realm of pure trust. Think about it. When you check your bank balance on your phone, you're looking at nothing more than a number on a screen. That number represents society's collective agreement about how much value you've contributed and can claim back. Here's where ancient Stoic wisdom becomes incredibly relevant. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the nature of perception and reality. He understood that most of what we consider real is actually constructed by human minds working together. Money is perhaps the perfect example of this principle. But let's dig deeper into this trust mechanism. Imagine I write you a note that says, "I owe you 1 sheep," and I sign my name. If everyone in our community knows I'm honest and reliable, is that piece of paper money? What if people start trading my IOUs because they trust my word? Now here's the crucial question. What happens to the value of that paper if people begin to doubt my honesty? The paper doesn't physically change, my handwriting is still there, but its power to get things done evaporates. This reveals something profound about the nature of all money. It's only as strong as the trust that supports it. This principle scales up to entire civilizations. The US dollar works because people trust the stability and power of the United States government. The euro works because people trust the European Union. Cryptocurrency works because people trust mathematical algorithms. In every case, trust is the invisible foundation that makes the whole system function. But here's what most people miss. This trust isn't just about the money itself. It's about something much deeper. It's about time and human effort. When you work for 8 hours and receive payment, you're not really being paid in dollars or euros. You're being paid in stored time, in crystallized human effort that you can trade for other people's time and effort later. Money is humanity's solution to a fundamental problem. How do we fairly exchange our life energy with each other? How do we trade hours of our lives across time and space? The answer is this invisible network of trust that we call currency. The ancient Stoics understood that everything valuable in life comes down to relationships and agreements between people. Money is simply the most sophisticated relationship humanity has ever created. It's a promise between strangers, a contract between people who will never meet, a bridge across time that lets your work today buy someone else's work tomorrow. This is why financial education that only focuses on tactics and strategies misses the point entirely. You can learn every investment technique in the world, but if you don't understand that you're really investing in humanity's ability to keep promises to itself, you're building your wealth on a foundation you don't comprehend. So what does this mean for you practically? First, it means that all wealth is ultimately social wealth. Your money is only as good as society's commitment to honoring agreements. Second, it means that understanding people and social trends is more important than understanding markets. And third, it means that building trust, both in yourself and with others, is the most fundamental wealth-building skill you can develop. The next time you make a purchase, pay a bill, or check your bank account, remember what you're really doing. You're participating in humanity's greatest collective achievement, a system that lets billions of people coordinate their efforts across continents and decades through nothing more than shared belief. In our next video, we're going to explore how this understanding changes everything about how you should approach building wealth. We'll look at why the most successful people throughout history understood money as a social phenomenon first and an economic tool second. If this perspective on money opened your eyes to something new, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what surprised you most. Subscribe for more philosophical deep dives into the concepts that shape our modern world. And remember, true wealth isn't about having more money. It's about understanding the invisible forces that make money possible in the first place. Until next time, keep questioning everything.